Hello guys, just a quick correction before the video begins. In here I've made a little bit of a mistake when it comes to the last video with the best equipment. Pretty much the best equipment for forwards and goalkeepers is the same as in the video. However, for midfielders I found that this is what the community thinks is the best equipment, therefore I started using it. For beans we have technical, intelligence and control. When it comes to defensive midfielders and side defenders, this is the best equipment that the community has found and is pretty much working. So we have the Genesis Boot, Moonlight Bracelet, Gatekeeper's Necklace and Pegasus Sticker, Beans, Technique, Intelligence and Agility. Just because those are the only stats that will help you in defensive focus fights, so pretty much you should be going for them. And when it comes to castle wall defenders, this is the best equipment that when it comes to them. I also needed a little bit of time to farm this, so pretty much it's not the easiest thing to do. Once again, I'm so sorry when it comes to the last video that I did not do the proper research before I posted it. I am really sorry. However, that's it from me for now, and now onto the Shinsuke part of this video. Yo, hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we will be doing the Shinsuke experiment of how strong Keshin armed, Keeper's Grid, Keshin itself, and Miximax it is. We are gonna do this on Shinsuke, just because he's one of the few characters that can, of course, Miximax, on top of being able to Keshin armed. He's one of the two goalkeepers, as far as I know there are two goalkeepers that are in the game that can Keshin armed, and he's pretty much the only goalkeeper that can Miximax. So in here, we're gonna firstly test Shinsuke with Warp Space V4 and each one of these specials. Firstly, you're gonna see Warp Space V4 by itself. After that, you're gonna see it being combined with Flame Fortress. After that, we're gonna just go with the Armify. After that, it's Keeper's Grid turn. After that, it's the normal Keshin and the normal Keshin move. And after that, it's the Miximax and the Miximax special move. So pretty much each of those values you can take up, and whichever you find to be the best, you can use in an online match. So it is what it is. On top of that, we are going to be also testing this goalkeeper because, as I already said, he has Plasma Shadow GK, which can Armify. And by the way, the effect of this Plasma Shadow is so useless, it's Breach. So pretty much he's good. On top of that, he's just a tier below Touching, okay? So you get a little bit less KP, but you get Armify, which, after you guys see the experiment from today's video, you may actually consider being really strong when it comes to goalkeepers. And not only for goalkeepers, but for defenders, sometimes midfielders, although for them I would say it's kinda not the case, and when it comes to especially forwards. So with that said guys, let me know what you guys think about those special power-ups. You guys are gonna see each experiment, each value, and after that, just let me know what you think. Okay guys, now we're getting onto the business. Warp Space with Shinsuke, as you can see, 3295. Pretty good, not bad. Okay, on to experiment number 2, we're gonna use Flame Fortress. Just because it increases the KP, it's the only static that does that, so let's quickly do this, and this, 3681. Pretty good in my opinion. And now on to experiment number 3. So now we're gonna do the Keshin armed, and we're gonna do the Warp Space once again. It should be a little bit below Flame Fortress. Yes, it's tiny bit below. 3533. Pretty okay, not bad. Okay guys, on to experiment number 4. So we're gonna activate Flame Fortress. We're gonna activate the Keshin armed. And now we're gonna activate Warp Space just to see how much we go up. 3965 it is. Okay, not too bad. Okay, now on to experiment number 5. We're gonna do this with Keeper's Grid. And now, of course, Warp Space. 4077. It's already stronger than Keshin Armed and Flame Fortress. Now on to experiment number 6, if I'm not mistaken. We activate Flame Fortress, we do Keeper's Grid, and we activate our Warp Space V4. 4549. That's 500 points above. That's really good. By the way, my opponent got a breach. Okay guys, on to experiment number 7. We're gonna summon Atlas, but we're not gonna use a special move. We're gonna use Warp Space. 3386. That's still a little bit better, but oh well. Not as good as Keshin Armed. Okay guys, now we're gonna test Atlas and his Mage in the hand. Let's see how strong it is. Without Flame Fortress, we're not gonna do this with Flame Fortress. Just gonna be a waste of time. 3547. I think it's just a tiny bit weaker than Keshin Armed, but it's fine. Okay, now on to the next experiment. We're gonna do this with Miximax. And yeah, Miximax increases your KP a little bit on the status, so let's see how much it is. Just a tiny bit below Keshin Armed, but it's still really good. Okay, on to the next experiment. Now we're gonna do this with Miximax and the Miximax special move, Taiko Koka. $3,700. Just a tiny bit better than the Keshin and Keshin Armed. So, is it worth? Most likely, yeah. Okay, next experiment, Divine Reflector V4. Okay. Just for those, we're gonna have one elemental advantage over the opponent, but does it matter? Not really. Now on to the next experiment, we get Flame Fortress activated. And we use, of course, Divine Reflector. Pretty good, not gonna lie. Okay. Now on to the next experiment. We are gonna be using Atlas and Divine Reflector. We had Mount Fuji just to collect a little bit easier attention. It's not boosting anything with goalkeeper power, so 4426, I think? Yep, really good. Absolutely insane stats. Ishiki barely took hit. Now on to the real stuff. Flame Fortress with Keshin Armed and a level 4 Divine Reflector. Can we do this? How much is it gonna be? Should be around a little bit below 5,000. It is 5,000! Hey! That's just as strong as Keeper's Grid. Okay, now on to experiment number I don't know anymore. Keeper's Grid with Divine Deflectors. Almost as good as Keshin Armed and Flame Fortress. Just 100 points below, that's crazy. Okay guys, now we're gonna use Flame Fortress with Keeper's Grid and Divine Deflectors. It should be around 5,300-ish. 500! Damn, that's a lot of damage. Absolutely crazy. Okay guys, now we're gonna use Titania's and Divine Reflector. $4,000 power, still pretty decent. And now finally the last thing for Shinsuke, Miximax plus Divine Deflectors level 4. 4,340. Really good. Now on to the next experiment. We have the Raw Goalkeeper. Let's see, with Divine Reflector. 3,700 almost. Really nice. Really good. Okay guys, up to the next experiment. Flame Fortress with Divine Deflectors, level 4. 4,208. Really good. Once again, not bad. Okay guys, now we have Plasma Shadow Armify with Divine Reflector. 4,300. Pretty good. Okay guys, now we're gonna see Flame Fortress in combination with Keshin and Divine Deflectors level 4. Almost 5,000 power. Absolutely insane once again. Okay guys, now we're gonna have the Keeper's Grid plus Divine Deflectors level 4. $4,744. That's really good. That's almost 5,000. Huge. Okay guys, now we're gonna do Flame Fortress on top of Keeper's Grid with Divine Deflectors level 4. $5,400 almost. Beautiful power. Really strong once again. Okay guys, finally we are here with the Keshin Plasma Shadow and his Divine Reflector. Almost 4,000 power. And now the very last one, because I forgot on this one. This is a Plasma Shadow defense. $2,421. Yeah, not much. And with that said guys, what we saw from this experiment is that pretty much Keeper's Grid is the best thing you can have on a goalkeeper. It just gives you bonus HP by default on top of giving you a little bit better power when it comes to the move. So pretty much Keeper's Grid, absolutely strong. There is nothing wrong with it. One thing I want to mention before going on to the next one is that we did not test the Ironclad Guardian Awakening. I don't have it here, but it pretty much still buffs you to the point where you have a Keshin summoned. But I would say just use a Keshin at that point. But what we saw from today's testing is that Armifying is pretty damn strong. It is really good. However, on Shinsuke specifically, the Miximax gives you pretty much just a tiny bit lower stats, but it gives you a Hisatsu, which is not that expensive. It is 80 tension, and it's still pretty damn good when it comes to power wise. So in my very honest opinion, for Shinsuke it's a personal choice. Do you want to get a little bit, very little bit less power, but get a Hisatsu with the Miximax, or do you want to get a little bit much better power and get the Armify? Now when it comes to Rao, we saw of course that the Keeper's Grid is once again the best one, but for Rao his Keshin just sucks when it comes passive wise, and he doesn't have a Miximax to choose from. But the other question is he worth over Tachimukai, who has just a tiny bit better stats than Rao? I would say yes. Because this goalkeeper gives you justice. He always wants to be justice, which in my opinion is a huge plus. You don't really want counter on your goalkeeper, So I would say Rao is definitely on the radar when it comes to being a really decent goalkeeper. Just a tiny bit worse stats than Tachimukai, but he can cash in arm, which we already saw is the second strongest ability on a goalkeeper. On top of that, he can use keeper's grid just like Tachimukai. Yes, you have just a tiny bit lower stats on the keeper's grid than Tachimukai, but for the most part, I don't think this will change anything in any kind of scenario. If a goal is meant to be a goal, it will be a goal. So pretty much, whether or not you should use him, it's your own personal choice. Therefore, with that said, this is the end of this experiment. What we came to conclusion is just that Shinsuke and Rao are pretty much insanely viable when it comes to being good goalkeepers. Shinsuke especially because of the Miximax and the Armofy being kinda close to one another, but the keeper's grid, ever since they fixed a bug with it, and now it gives properly power, it has become the strongest awakening in the game, in my very honest opinion. It just gives you flat HP on top of Hisatsu boost. The Armofy gives you a really good Hisatsu boost, so pretty much with a 100 power Hisatsu it will be really strong. So for example, if you have this little Rao with God Catch and you use Plasma Shadow, GK, Armofy or the Keeper's Grid, is still gonna get pretty good value. However, something else to mention is that Miximax also gives you kinda similar value, so for Shinsuke, that's really good once again. On top of that, Miximax gives you a special Hisatsu, which is not as expensive as, for example, a normal 100 tension Keshin Hisatsu. For Shinsuke specifically though, his Keshin is a little bit cheaper and the special ability of it sucks. So pretty much both of these goalkeepers, you're gonna need a new possibility in order to remove their Keshin and give them a different Keshin that you may find much being more useful, for example with team passives. But on top of that, Shinsuke's Keshin is just a little bit cheaper because it's 80 tension move, but still not a good passive for the team. So I would say on both of these characters you should be using the Armofy just because it removes their bad passive on the Keshin and makes it actually useful. So therefore, experiment passed. Keshin Armed is really strong. Miximax is just as strong as it on Shinsuke, as we already said. It's just a personal preference whether you would like another Hisatsu, which is pretty good, or you would just like your Hisatsu that you're already using to be stronger. So in my opinion, having the Keeper's Grid and Armed, pretty damn good, just because if one of them is on cooldown, you can use the other one, which is a little bit weaker, but still it will get the job well done. And that's it for this video. It took me a long time to just get this footage, it took me a long time to also get a decent Rao, and this Shinsuke is not even close to being good because I was trying, but I couldn't get him with 4% justice. But once I get him, I will definitely get my Endo out of the team and put the Shinsuke just because of the Armed. So yeah, that's it pretty much. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.